This is a huge issue, and I'm surprised it hasn't been spoken about way more, because there's so much to unpack here. But a lot of modders are quitting DayZ, and honestly, I expect to see a lot more of them quit too. So here's the dark side of modding nobody talks about, but we definitely should be. If you liked the video, please leave a like or a subscribe, it really helps me out. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
Now he's up in the tower. I've got... Crap. Yeah, I died. I think somebody sniped me.
So before we address the elephant in the room, let's go through a few of the issues that the modders are facing, because some of them are very bad. So firstly, when an update drops, many players get mad and frustrated at the modders and expect them to provide a fix within minutes to hours of this update dropping. This is a problem, and it's a problem for a few reasons. One, modders can't anticipate what is going to change with every single update and therefore adjust their mod accordingly. Sometimes this takes time, and sometimes they don't have the time because they have other commitments. They are hobbyists, they're not full-time workers, they're not paid. This isn't a job, it's a free service. And players can get very aggressive. They can get genuinely angry at these modders for not having their mod working within minutes to hours of this update happening. And it's not completely unheard of for modders to receive threats about not fixing their mod on time. And at the end of the day, modders aren't inclined to continually update the mod for the rest of DayZ's life. They do it as a courtesy. But let's talk about the second problem they face, and this comes from server owners, because sometimes, actually a lot of the time, server owners will tell modders exactly how they should make their mod. And it's crazy some of these conversations you see and hear about from these server owners who almost demand that these modders do this or do that or change this thing because it better suits their server. Mods are usually made for the community at large, not tailored to one specific server. So it's not also disrespectful, but it's also just a ridiculous ask. And again, in the past, this has usually resulted in some kind of abuse or arguments, or one time I heard a server owner try to set his Discord on the mods Discord. It just isn't a pretty game. And that last one somewhat segues into the next one, which is people sometimes find a modder's Discord or ID and harass them when the mod breaks or doesn't do what someone wants it to do. This is not only just a straight up crappy thing to do, but it also discourages the modder. It doesn't help, it does the opposite of what you want it to do. Again, modders are people who choose to give their time, they're not obligated employees. Another issue, and this one comes from server owners as well, is constantly asking the modder to help set up a server with their mod. And not just that, there's a big difference between please help and you must help me fix this now. This is especially true when somebody is setting up a server and they can't get it to work, or it's clashing with another mod, and then they start to get angry at the modder. Your mod isn't working. Well, it works with every other server, just not yours, so clearly the mod isn't the issue. But server hosting, configuration and troubleshooting is a separate job from mod creation, and yet some modders do absolutely help and they offer some advice, but that's their choice, again, not their obligation. And this has become quite a big issue over recent years, especially with more and more servers popping up and fewer people knowing exactly how to make a good server. So all that frustration gets directed to one place: the modder. Something else that also happens is the continual requests for repacks of mods, which is pretty pointless and probably one of the most misunderstood aspects of exactly how mods work, because they don't make a server perform better unless you're tweaking or changing the mod yourself. But this even spins into a different issue, because server owners sometimes ask for custom content or mods, but then expect the modder to maintain that custom content forever, which means they could be adding hundreds to thousands of hours of extra work on one single server. It's a completely unreasonable expectation for any modder to be able to commit that much time to an individual server. If a mod breaks or stops working, or if an update changes something and that modder can't get to it in time, well, as my dead grandfather used to say, can't fucking plug that in there. And he also used to say, that's tough titties. Deal with it. You're an adult. Nobody owes you their time. And remember, all of this is free work. They don't get paid. It's against DayZ's terms of service for modders to be paid. And this has been a point of contention for a lot of people in the past. Some people believe you should be paid for the work you put in. Others believe that you shouldn't, because at the end of the day, the product belongs to somebody else. It belongs to DayZ. It's not your IP. So even when server owners ask for a repack in exchange for a donation, if a modder was to accept a donation, it can result in their mod being removed from the workshop itself. And in extreme cases, it could result in all of the individual's mods being removed, so it's just not worth it. Most modders don't take donations for implementing items into their mods. They do it for free, and nobody really appreciates just how many hours can go into it. It can take hundreds to thousands of hours to create a mod, and then thousands more to maintain it over the years. Not to mention, not only can they not make money, but some modders actually spend money on certain things to improve their own mod, so they end up losing money and hours over time. So it's never worth the risk of taking an under the table donation. The next one is caused by the devs, and it causes so many issues for modders going forward, and it actually has a ripple effect and affects so many things I've already mentioned. And it's the fact that there's such a lack of detailed information and timing of DayZ patches. So when the stable version is finally released, the modders have no idea what's gonna break their mod this time. It happened a lot with Sakal. Sakal came out and just destroyed so many mods. But this happens with every update. Every update, modders have to work around the clock to try and make their mod stable again, because the patch notes do share information, but they're too vague when it comes to specifics. So modders are just frustrated. Why did it break? What changed? And they don't always have immediate answers. And this one that causes so many issues is arguably a very simple fix. But one that is again down to the server owners, or at least the users, is the fact that people don't ever use the resources provided by the modders. Modders have FAQ channels, they have websites, they have forums, they have all kinds of places you can go to get the answer to your question, but instead people just find a Discord and spam the Discord with the same question they've answered 1,000 times before. But people expect the modder to take time out of their day when the user hasn't even taken time out of their day to try and see if the answer exists elsewhere. And it usually does, because very few issues are unique, and many of these issues have been encountered before, so there is information provided by the modder that you can actually use. But people are lazy. But the biggest issue here hasn't even been addressed, because it's one that is probably going to have a really negative effect on DayZ. Because let's face it, so many people do just play DayZ for the mods, and if the older generation of modders is slowly moving on, with them goes a huge amount of knowledge. The tricks, the workaround, the hard-won lessons that came only from years of trial and error. These people learned everything the hard way, by experimenting, breaking things, and figuring out solutions nobody had documented yet. But most of that knowledge was never properly passed down, and it's not fair to expect them to. Modding takes time, energy, and patience. Still, the result is a vacuum. New modders coming in will have to start again from scratch, rediscovering what's already been solved before. Without that foundation, progress risks stalling. We'll either see modding stay stuck at the same level it's at now, or worse, slowly decline as frustration grows. The same questions will resurface, the same problems will be resolved, and people will start wondering how the older generation even figured it out in the first place. But this all culminates to one thing, and that's DayZ will suffer, the players will suffer, and DayZ's future ultimately will suffer. And that's especially true considering these are only half of the issues I've mentioned in the video. I could do a list twice as long and just never get through everything. So this video is dedicated to the modders who have put the work in to improve something they were never paid to do, and make a really cool experience for so many players. But let me know what you think, and if you want more DayZ content, click here, or for something else, click here. And as always, until next time.